everybody, and welcome to the morning briefing with Friedman Adventures. It's great to be with you this lovely morning. I know it's foggy and it's a little chilly here. It's around 5:30 in the morning, but it's still going to be another great day. Get ready for some great info, including the Pride 61 white sea bass on their latest trip. Coronado Islands starting to bite. More kelp patty yellowtail starting to move in, and still some very slow and inconsistent fishing. We'll have it all for you right here on Friedman Adventures. Great to be with you. First of all, want to thank everybody who came out this weekend to say hello. It is such an honor and a pleasure to meet you all and say hello out there at Bass Pro Shops. That certainly was a lot of fun, and it was so great to see so many old friends and make so many new friends. Thousands of you now are tuning in to the morning briefing every morning, and I really can't thank you enough, as we just hit 600,000 views. So we're looking at 1 million here, I think, by the end of the year, if everything continues to head in the right direction, and if you continue to support us as you have. And the reason I mention all that is just to say thank you so very much. If you get a chance, hit the like button. That really helps us a lot. Once again, great to meet you all at Bass Pro and SchoLB's yesterday in Long Beach with Chef Jason, who does all our cooking videos. What a funny guy. What a great ambiance there at SchoLB's, and a surprise appearance that shook the foundations of sport fishing as the Cabezon King made an appearance at SchoLB's yesterday. We'll have more on that and all the fishing. But let's start you out down there in Ensenada, where those pongeros continue to catch bluefin tuna. In fact, they're having great success trolling those Mad Max around offshore out of Ensenada. Sometimes it's hard to get a bite for the sport boats, but day in and day out, pongeros, while they do miss, have been doing pretty darn good down there. So crossing the border, driving down to beautiful Ensenada, and fishing on a ponga not only is a great adventure, not only are there great fish tacos and the people of Baja waiting for you, but there's some pretty darn good fishing. And same thing, mix in terms of the grade of fish. You'll catch 20-pound bluefin, and you'll catch 200-plus pound bluefin tuna. So great to see our brothers and sisters south of the border still doing pretty darn well down there in that neck of the woods. Well, the San Diego fleet still focusing on this bluefin tuna, and everything is remaining the same. That means, A, we're still seeing a lot of fish, breezers of bluefin. You see them on the machines, on the sonar. You'll see them with your eyeball, which we call eyeball fish. It's really an incredible amount of fish, but it remains, for the most part, very frustrating, as that bluefin does not want to chew right now. Is it that they're on smaller baits? Is it that the moon phase? Is it water temperature? Man, I just don't know, and you can surmise all kinds of things, but the reality is we don't know. But with all that fish around, you got to think that that light switch is going to go on. Now, is it just a normal year? Captain Eddie Leland, who of course accompanies me on so many of these Friedman Adventures trips and so much more, he just says, hey, I think we're back to a normal year. That's what this is. We're so used to that early warm water that triggers fish's metabolism. You know, you get up towards 70 degrees and those bluefin are going insane. Their metabolism really gets rolling as the water temperatures rise. So we're back to kind of a normal year, surmises Eddie, and maybe it's just going to take a little more time. So we'll hope that that is indeed going to be the case. What is also starting to happen in San Diego, though, is that we're getting an influx of those warm water species. Kelps are holding pretty good amounts of yellowtail. Some guys down there, Condor with limits, Excalibur, 140 yellowtail. So there's yellows down there on kelps and at the islands. I'll talk about that when we get to our island theme in just a moment. So we're starting to get that push of warm water up the Baja coast, which brings yellows on kelps, could bring some Dorado. We've seen a little smattering of yellowfin tuna around town. So that is hopes for the future. And if the guys can start hitting those kelps and coming up with good numbers of that while we wait for these fickle bluefin tuna to turn on, then we are in the driver's seat. We get that going on. And of course, fingers crossed that that's going to come together. Along the coast, we still have that warm water. Offshore, we have that cooler water. And again, I'll mention to you, albacore I mean, Tommy Holland, who's been doing so much work in terms of keeping in contact with the commercial fleet, noticed a commercial albacore boat leaving and going in a direction that he normally does not go in, suggesting this kind of an albacore season here in Baja and San Diego. And it's all a dream at this point until something happens. And you would think that if we're going to have any albacore season at all in Baja or San Diego or Southern California in general or the West Coast, it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. So you will either be laughing hilariously at Tommy and myself and Bob Osborne, or you'll be saying, oh man, they finally got one right. So we'll see. When, again, fingers crossed, that could be a salvation for everybody this year if we get those albies, those longfin in here and they start to bite. You gotta have that variety of tackle still. You need some 30, 40 pound mono to fly line with. We like Opsin fluorocarbon, gotta have fluoro. When you hit a kelp, that's what you're gonna fish with, or those yellowtail. Sometimes you run into that smaller grade of bluefin tuna and you need some line like that to get a bite. So 40, 30 pound fluoro, definitely. Something with 50 and 60, still a must. And then 80 to 130 pound, let's call it that, in case you're on a trip when the light switch finally goes on. And that could be any day now. So don't lose hope. There's always hope. And it could be right now as I'm blah, blah, blind back outside there that the boys are getting them right now. We'll keep our fingers crossed on that. Hopefully that's exactly what's going to happen. So the offshore scene still slow for the most part on bluefin. Starting to catch some yellows on kelps. That's great news. And we're hoping that we'll see some yellowfin and other little creatures creep into the picture. And the A word, all right, we'll hope that that also comes to fruition. All right, let me talk to you now about the island situation, because it is really starting to change for the better, looking much better in several different areas. Down there, Todos Santos off Ensenada, more yellowtail flooding into that zone. Some surface ironfish, some yo-yo ironfish, a lot of barracuda. Same thing over there in Punta Banda area. We're seeing more and more yellowtail, so that is starting to come together. I'm going to cover both the inshore and the islands. So there at Punta Banda, great calico bass fishing. University Point, we're seeing more and more barracuda, a few yellows zooming around there, a few sand bass in the flats areas there. So things are progressing along nicely. That warm water is definitely helping the situation there. The Coronado Islands, we've been seeing yellows for a month, and now it is a reality. That is starting to bite. In fact, the San Diego, who's been offshore, went to the Coronado Islands and had a great day's fishing. They ended up catching 36 yellowtail, 86 barracuda, 44 calico bass, and all the methods that you would think would be working were working. And I know the guys on the San Diego who day in and day out work so hard to find you fish are just thankful to be catching some fish right now. They use the yo-yo iron, they use the surface iron, fly line bait. All those methods were working. And you got to think, as we go along here now, things are only going to get better at the island. So nice hits, other boats with some nice scores there at the islands. Yellows anywhere from the smaller grade to really nice grade, 20, 25 pound, 18 pound, with some smaller stuff mixed in. The gar are biting on the surface iron. Those barracuda love to bite that surface iron. So that also really great news at the Coronado Islands, and high hopes that that is going to continue to bite. So you'll need a variety of tackle. If you're fishing the Coronado Islands, you will need a passport to do that. Whenever you get within 12 miles of Mexican territory, and the islands, the Coronado Islands, constitute that, then you're going to need a passport. Keep that in mind. July 22nd, we'll be on board the Malihini, and we're not sure where we're going to head. I get a feeling that that offshore thing with those kelp patty, yellowtail, and yellowfin and dorado moving up might be in the picture, so you will not need a passport. If we switch to the islands, I will let you know about that for sure. But if you'd like to join us, you can go to a Facebook page, and there's a link. Click on it, and then you sign up on the Malihini website. And looking forward to seeing Bill and the crew on the Malihini, and of course, all of you. Paul Burbank just signed up. Jamie Argent just signed up. I'm sure John Moore's going to be there. Dennis, all the great characters who make those trips so much fun. Can't wait for that. San Clemente Island. Well, first of all, let's talk about the pride and the great 2.5-day trip. They just concluded out of 22nd Street Landing. They fished 3 islands on that 2.5-day trip, and that's what makes those trips so exceptional. We have a 2-day trip with a couple of openings, although I think Scott Grant's going to jump on one. He just texted me, but we're leaving a week from Tuesday night, so July the 5th, and a 2-day trip, and I cannot wait because I'm hoping the fishing gets better, but I don't know how it gets much better than this. 61 white sea bass on board the Pride in tremendous fishing. And Sean Roberts, the captain, said it never really got wide open. It was just steady. We hit 3 different islands. We had great calico bass fishing, 61 white sea bass, 17 yellowtail, 2 halibut. And I don't know what vitamins those guys on the Pride are taking, but they have been pulling a rabbit out of the hat on a regular basis and really doing well. You want dropper loop material, 60 pound when you're fishing at night. That's another advantage to 2-day type trips. So 60 pound dropper loop, 8 ounce, 10 ounce torpedoes, sometimes lighter than that, sliding egg sinkers, so you can fish that. We love blacktail hooks. They're working great. And Sky, he was just on board the Amigo, just getting in. It was an entirely different situation for other boats. It's like you got to be in the right place at the right time. 2 yellows on the Amigo and lots of rockfish at San Clemente Island. Hopefully it's going to start coming together for those guys. Great trip, though, on the Pride. Tremendous out of 22nd Street Landing. Hope we see you on our next 2-day, leaving a week from Tuesday night. Also, the Freedom at San Clemente Island. Flurry in the morning, 7 white sea bass. In fact, one angler on board the Freedom had the trifecta. I just missed one at Los Al the other night. But this guy had a halibut, a sea bass, and a yellowtail. Not bad at all. But what we've become used to at San Clemente over the past few days is that flurry, and then it fades out, and then you're left fishing rockfish the rest of the day. And pretty much that's what happened. He also had some yellows. Over there on the Thunderbird, Jeff, capable fisherman, working his tail off, beating his brains out. Same thing. He had a flurry on the sea bass and had some yellows, nice grade fish, and then it kind of just petered out. So as Jeff said, the only thing consistent this year is the inconsistency, and we are seeing that once again. Up there in the Channel Islands, I told you I was going to do the local scene too, but I got carried away with that 61 white sea bass on the Pride. I'll drop back to that in a minute. As we continue to look at the islands, Catalina, Native Son had a nice mix of fish. They have been catching some yellow, some calico bass, not bad at all. Other boats at Cat have been experiencing slow fishing. It's that mix. It's the boat in the right place at the right time. Fishing with some lighter line is definitely helping you. So bring some lighter stuff for Cat, but bring your heavy too, because there are yellows and sea bass, and conditions poor over a lot of the island. Great in other parts of the island. A lot of times it's an exploration over there. You're looking around for those good conditions and you get a bite. So hopefully Cat's going to continue. Up there in the Channel Islands, man, there's been some conking going on up there. Now, not for everybody, and it's, again, one of those situations where you got to be on the right boat at the right place at the right time. Aloha Spirit, Endeavor, some of those boys with some big numbers of white sea bass. Mirage, he had 19 anglers, 6 white sea bass, and of course all the rockfish to go along with it. I should mention that the Ranger 85 has left the Channel Islands and is moving up on San Diego right now. Scott Buchert is a deckhand on board. Just let me know they're moving closer to SD as we speak this morning. So Ranger will start their San Diego season. Once again, dropper loop fishing up there with a 10-ounce torpedo, 40-pound fluorocarbon. The Aki twist hook seems to work really, really well up there, and it has been some exceptional fishing at times. And the Channel Island boys, they like that run and gun sea bass fishing, running from spot to spot of sea bass. Really exciting way to fish WSB. It's really, really fun fishing up there in that neck of the woods. All right, back to the coast, since I screwed that all up. Down in San Diego, a little bit of bass. Sometimes it's rockfish in the morning on the local fleet, and then bass in the afternoon. Same thing up there around Dana. Here off of San Pedro and Long Beach, remember I told you how we almost went on the rocks the other day with Eddie Leland and Phil Capricio, another calamity in my life. But we mentioned to you that conditions, at least up there at Furman, as we came back toward Isers it got warmer, but up there it was frigid. We had that wind and it screwed conditions up, knocked the water temp down, and when you get that, the bass and barracuda and all that get off the bite. It's starting to rebound a little bit. Maybe today we'll see some more of that kick into gear. And it's just a matter, I think, of conditions. I don't think all that fish is gone anywhere. It's just that it gets lockjaw when those conditions go boom, dramatically like that. And boy, we saw a very cool water temperature with that wind, and hopefully it's going to get going again. A lot of these boats, Enterprise, Victory, Monte Carlo, they have the sculpin to fall back on, so that's good news. Up there in the Channel Islands, Island Spirit, Cody Rogers out of Ventura Sport Fishing has been doing good along the coast. It's kind of up and down also, but he's been catching sand bass, calico bass, barracuda, halibut. Sometimes he'll spend half his day on the beach and then go out to the islands. All depends upon how he's doing when they start on the coast. And it's been pretty good. Lighter line for sure works really, really well. You want to bring some of that lighter line, and I'm talking 12, 15-pound mono to get a bite on the bass. You'll just see that if you do that, fluorocarbon, lighter line, choose a good hot bait, man, people will be going, how in the heck is that guy getting bit so often? So some pretty good fishing up there in that neck of the woods. Santa Barbara area yesterday, mostly rockfish, but they've had their go-arounds also with some barracuda and some surface fish in addition to that. On the surf, we see things continuing to progress. The high tide today is going to be, shoot, I should have written that down. I'm going to say 9:30-ish, like that. So I like to start fishing about 7:30 in the morning and fish till about 11:30 if you're fishing that high tide. That gets you the incoming tide, the outgoing tide. You cover all the bases. And you'll find sometimes, like you get down here at 7:30 and nothing, and then it starts to flow out and they bite, or vice versa. So moving around and covering ground and fishing the various tides is a good way. Now, on low tide, you can catch halibut and corvina. That is still in the picture. All right, some really nice fishing going on Bolsa Chica area. Big spot fin. Spot fin like to bite on the natural bait. Sandworms, sand crabs, ghost shrimp, all that stuff works really, really well for those fish. And there's been some good fishing as well as some decent yellowfin croaker fishing down in that neck of the woods. 72nd Street, Gabriel de la Trinidad had some great calico bass fishing there the other day. We see corvina along the beaches also, although this is a slower start to the surf fishing year. I mean, we have that theme throughout fishing this year. So is it just going to be a down year, or is it just that we're in a normal year and we have yet to hit our stride when this thing is all going to turn on? Fishing corvina along the beach, still a good bet. Topaz Rock Jetty, El Segundo, some decent fishing in all those venues. All right, yesterday at SchoLB's was such a great time. Thanks to everybody who came out. I had such a wonderful time. I always enjoy spending time with you. And Cabezon King, yeah, the guy, he's 81 years old, Bruce Kuhn. He showed up, and one of the waitresses, Megan, was astounded. She couldn't believe that the Cabezon King, the guy that caught a 23.4-pound Cabezon 63 or 65 years ago, when Bruce was 40, he's 195 now. He was there at SchoLB's, and people were stopping him on the street, and it was amazing because of that great podcast he did about that magnificent catch. We really had a good time there at SchoLB's. The food is always great there on 4th Street, and Jason, Chef Jason, and Michelle, one of the waitresses, and Megan, everybody's so nice, and all the people who came out. It was great spending time with you. All right, everybody, Pride. We got a couple spots open. 61 white sea bass on their last trip. We're going a week from Tuesday night. You want info on that? Send me a text. I'll tell you how you can get on. 657-227-6459. July 22nd on board the Malihini with Captain Bill Wilkerson. And, of course, we'll be here with lots more info for you every single day. I can't thank you enough. Hit 600,000 views, 1,000 of you tuning into the morning briefing and our other shows every day. Really, really appreciate all your great support, my friends. Really, really do. Have a blessed and wonderful day. Finish up that coffee. I'll see you really soon again.